Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. It's top, well, sort of tip-top. It's not quite. It's pro level. We'll call it that. Pro level custom 2v2 action on the cards this afternoon. Yes, I did say I'd bring you an Average Joe's cast soon, and I meant it, and I will bring you one just as soon as I can find a replay that doesn't make me fall asleep. That's not fair. Lots of people have sent me plenty of good replays. They just haven't quite cut the biscuit and left me a portion with which I am satisfied. It's quite simple, guys. People keep asking me, what do I have to do to get casted, Guile? I know it's tough. You get a replay and you've done really well. You've probably curb stomped some guy who's 500 rating points ahead of you. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good to watch, and it's not just a fault of the Joes. The pros do it as well. Even had Blackheart sent me a few games with it, and he doesn't understand. It's like, I send you replays and you don't cast them just because, like, the things that you find interesting aren't necessarily interesting to watch. That's just my opinion, but I think the majority of you guys out there would understand. You know, if it's like some new cunning strat which maybe adds a PGen here or takes one away and makes you 0.6% more efficient in your opening 3 minutes, it might be incredibly impressive to the pros, but it's just all you have to do, guys, essentially is upgrade your commander to T2 nice and early on, pick him up on a transport and throw him at your enemy's face. That will that will increase your chances of getting casted by a factor of 500. Not necessarily, but you know what I mean, that kind of out of the box, slightly overly aggressive, maybe even cheesy, but sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's good too, though. People like to see that. But just be inventive. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, that's enough of me on the subject. As I said, it's going to be custom 2v2, and that action is going to take place on the wonderful, the majestic, the purely beautiful white sands of Mesmerising Paradise beta version 1, because they had to ruin the name somehow. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. Let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Chang, ka-ching, there we have it. Isn't that beautiful? Makes me want to take a vacation there, until, of course, the giant mechanical monsters turn off. And you know what? I meant to turn off Bloom, and I'm going to do it now. It's terribly unprofessional. All of this should have been done before we started. Bloom render op, because it's just, I don't know, some of you will probably like it, but that's just, isn't that easier on the eyes? And also now when someone blows up or a nuke goes off, we can actually at least see more or less what's going on instead of having our retinas singed by the explosion. Anyway, let's take a look at our players. We'll call this team 1 at the just about top. You can see how strong my, for some reason, Japanese timeline is in my head, that I always prioritize vertical over horizontal, even though there's barely anything in it. But anyway, calling this team 1 up here at the top right, and this team 2 down here at the bottom left. So going first for team 1 up on the top cliffs over here. We saw him a couple of casts ago. It's Dro, and he's going Cyber and bless him, opening first land. And his teammate over here at the other set of cliffs, it's an Aeon, and it's Moral Constraint. So, Moral Constraint's a little bit of a tangent there, a departure from your standard naming system that you might have when you're picking an avatar for this community, or indeed any other. But anyway, Moral Constraint, we should call him Moral for short, and he's going first land in Cyanide Scion. And team member number 2 down here, first of all, at the bottom cliffs, we have Nexus, formerly Nexus of Reality, but he's dropped the of Reality just to save me time, so we like him for that. We don't like that he's picked Cybern, but we'll forgive him because, well, he's just a nice guy, generally. And he's going first land and going second air next to the Hydro. And last of all, team member number 2 for team 2 in Pontiff White, it's this guy. He's going Seraphim, opening first land, and just going land all day. You can see a whole bunch of land factories getting the all-important adjacency bonus around that mass point up there at the top right of the starting location. Game quality at 47.38%. That's what we call here at Guilecast a very freaking unbalanced game. And if you take a look, you can see why. Team 1 is made up of two 1500 rated players, and Team 2 is made up of a 2000 rated player from Nexus and this guy who's on 1700. So it's a little bit stacked. You wouldn't favor Team 1 in a fight, but hopefully it shall be entertaining nonetheless. All 4 ACUs, as you would expect on Mesmerising Paradise, move to converge on the center, and Team 1 have a little bit of a head start on their opponents. They're almost at the middle with their first ACU now. That's Moral Constraint, about to get the all-important mass from that massive continental wreck in the center. That is the way to go. There he goes, and he will get a little bit more out of that center mass. In fact, Team 1 will get a little bit more, or should do, than Team 2. It all depends on how the early exchanges go. Forward combat scout in place, Selene there for this guy. Not quite far forward enough to show up Moral, who's sitting about here. You can see it's just outside the range, and Dro will be coming down here from the north. In fact, he's almost at the middle now. The Continental Wreck has gone, and you see, a game like this, it would have been good if I had the forethought. I should have brought back the Supreme scoreboard and could have taken a look at those wonderful mass values, but alas, I didn't do it. People ask me why I didn't run that. Well, I've had problems in the past with the stuttering it does in the larger team games. 2v2 it might well be acceptable, so for future I might reinstate that. In fact, I need to test it anyway. But anyway, the first exchanges are out, and it's this guy up here with a little bit of extra support from the Zuis coming in from the left. Got quite a few of them there. They're going after Dro's commander. He's absorbed a few shells already, down to around 7,900. Meanwhile, over here, both Moral and Constraint and Nexus have lost an equal, more or less, number of HP, but Moral with the extra 1,000 odd HP on there has a little bit of extra leeway. But so far, Team 2 look like they might be ousting Team 1 on the field, and that's important because there's a lot of mass still to be grabbed here. So actually, the early advantage that Moral got for his team might filter away as time goes on. And now a couple of Mantis moving as well. As we zoom out, we can see Nexus has been harassing the main base there of Moral with some T1 bombers. He even has a small contingent of interceptors flying overhead, trying to shoot down Team 1's interceptors as they come off the conveyor belt. And this guy throwing down a land factory right in the middle. We get that online, that will dramatically increase Team 2's replenishment capabilities. Dro absorbing a lot of Zui fire as he comes in to engage those artillery pieces. Down to almost 50% health, just under. And Moral Constraint into the yellow as well. Sub 75% just. Not going brilliantly in the early exchanges for Team 1. Dro needs to keep moving, sir. Backing away into the lagoon. And submerges beneath the water to safety. Now it's Moral who's absorbing the rest of that aggression, and there's the opportunity for a run-by potentially here, although a lot of reinforcements pouring out of the main base now from Dro. Unlikely any units passing these ACUs will get up there, but none of those are going to make it past anyway. In fact, Moral repositioning some of his own forces to make sure that gap is plugged. This guy almost about to complete that land factory, but a nice little run by from Dro. Not sure whether he came down the center here or around the island in the middle, that little headland. Nonetheless, got in position to lay some fire down on that land factory, but alas, it wasn't enough. Nexus in play with his comm, and of course a lot of T1 span coming up from this guy's base, dealt with that threat very nicely indeed. Lots of mass points still to be picked up for both teams, and of course the outer territories as well. All these little islands dotted around. Works brilliantly though as a 2v2 map nonetheless. Interesting to see if more people start playing this in the 2v2 format once they realize just how amazing this map is. It doesn't have to be reserved for the 3v3s or the 4v4s. Something I can vouch for personally. And Dro has somehow managed to take extra fire from somewhere. He's down to 3,600, trying to corner this guy's ACU with some of his Mantis, but he's going to have to back up again surely as another wave of FAMs roll in against his ACUs. This guy's still applying pressure as well. Could be about to dip into the red any time now. Another wave of Mantis coming in though from the north from Dro, and there it goes down to 25% of base health. Dro surely going to have to be more careful now. And this guy did manage to get that land factory operational. Currently just producing engineers at the moment. First order of business, no doubt, to throw down some point defense and lock down the center. Extra 4 or so mass points to be gained here. It all counts. And Nexus airdropping 3 engineers to the top of that headland. In fact, he only left one of them on the top there of that plateau, and the other one is swinging away. The other 2, sorry, is swinging away to the south to pick up some of the mexes down there. Would you look at this? This guy in trouble now, way down. Dro on 2,200 and this guy on 1,300. So now it's his turn to be a little bit cautious. Nexus is trying to fade away as well back towards this guy's base to afford him some cover. Dro on 2,500, Moral on 5,000. But this base now almost in enemy territory, this one land factory that Team 2 expended so much energy to control. Dro rolls up and goes, no, you can't put that up there. I bought this territory fair and square with the lives of my Mantis. Down it will go. All production ceased in that, so that's the end of that little land factory. Desperate attempt to kill the engineer through the cliff edge. Generally doesn't work. Doesn't produce results. But try explaining anything to the Cyberans. All of the implants accidentally ended up in the ears. Makes them hard of hearing. And now it's Team 1's play to throw down a land factory in the middle. And in fact, Dro lining up 3 naval yards as well, as more and more Mantis move in to secure the middle. Now stop, take a moment and look at the eco. So interestingly, Nexus, not that interesting, he's the 2,000 rated player, out and away above everybody else in terms of ranking, and he's way ahead on mass. 61. Next highest is Moral Constraint there on 53. Dro on 51, but this guy, 1,700 rated player, down on 43. Shows you just how much APM has been used up in that central aggression that was being employed inside the first 8 minutes or so, trying to secure that middle that he has currently been out ecoed. All of that could change though in the immediate future. In come some interceptors over the top of Dro's Mantis. They're going to engage some of this guy's Air Force who are lurking in the area. And this is very interesting indeed. Dro manages to get 2 naval yards online, not currently producing anything out of it. The third one is actually going to be Morals, and that will complete as well. And there goes the build order. A couple of Tridents going to be first onto the conveyor belt. Still transport lurking around in the southern waters there for Nexus. Quite an aggressive engineer placement there, going straight after Team 1's natural expansion points there in the South Seas. Dro expanding nicely in the north, however. This guy starting to get ready to go Rambo. Interesting. So we've got T2 Engineering Suite on board the comm already. So expect gun and nano upgrades on the way soon enough for this guy, who will be hell-bent, I'm sure, on trying to dislodge Team 1's hold on the middle. First couple of naval units off the production line there for Dro, who's healing up nicely on his ACU. As proper front lines start to materialize. This is strange, isn't it? The two 1500s with extra map control. Dro now trying to counter Nexus's land grab over here at the eastern edge of the map. Nexus was very close to getting a PD online, but unfortunately for him, that's surely been rumbled. Oh, maybe it wasn't unfortunate. Dro doesn't issue any more commands, capture, reclaim, or otherwise. He may give Nexus the time he needs to get established there. Actually, they actually managed to pick off that NG. Yes, they did. What an awful place to park, sir. Nexus setting up on the edge there to take a gander at the view. It's the last thing he ever saw. Let's take a look at development. So we're up to T2 Tech in the main base for Dro in the air game, and T2 Tech as well on the land game, but currently on an upgrade to T3. Push coming in at the middle. T2 Air Tech for Moral, and similar situation, T2, but on the way to T3 there for him as well. Blazes versus Wagner's. Wagner's had extra support as well, but would have been a short match either way. And we're up to T3 land status for Nexus, who's already producing bricks. And he's got a trebuchet heading out towards the middle as well. So Nexus looking pretty dangerous on tech right now. And this guy just a little bit behind on T2 land tech. And that is all for the time being. Now, what's he got to on upgrade? So he's got the nano, he's got one of the guns, and he's got the T2 engineering suite. And he's strolling up the middle now with support en masse on the ground. Lots and lots of T1 there, and a few Wagners coming in as well from Nexus. Air support, very dangerous assault this, and Team 1 in full retreat as you would expect. Not a lot on the ground there for Dro. Dro way back here with his commander getting an upgrade. A nice new addition, isn't it? Hovering over there, you see in that the window in the bottom left-hand corner, the progress towards veterancy. Didn't notice that before. That's a nice little addition. Always tweaking the game are our amazing devs here at FAF. And there goes the last of the naval yards over there as well. Dro managed to get 4 frigates out, which he's parked up here, but they're little use. We have got a new naval yard online over there for Moral. But dangerous, dangerous times now for Team 1. Facing lots of pressure up the middle. Now this is starting to look like what you might expect in a game as stacked as it is. You would expect Team 2 to be on the side with the larger map control. Having said that, if you look at the general map control, just look at this. All of the islands around the edge of the map around here, all under Team 1's control. Only islands in the wider area belonging to Team 2 are under Nexus's control here and here. Still, Nexus extending his lead as the game goes on in terms of eco. 166. Dro next highest on 123. Morals on 92, and this guy, man, this guy needs to get a wriggle on. 69 short stacking there, but still a lot of firepower on the field. Band of T1 moving up. It's going to have a horrible shock when it runs into the loyalists, which are gathering in number over here. Decent unit comp though means the Zuis should be able to take down these land factories, raining blue murder down on those Cyber facilities. Down goes the Hydro behind them. Those 3 land factories down and out. However, only surely a matter of time before the Loyalists gain the upper hand as the numbers start to whittle down. A few Ilshivers in there as well, though, for this guy, which do help the situation. In fact, he's just kind of bypassing. I'm wondering if he's trying to get in around the back. It's a long old slog. Could get in up against here and try and take down some of these mexes, maybe if they're in range, or maybe it's cleverly designed so that that's impossible. They're certainly not launching any shells on their way past, so I think it might just be out of range. And one lone Jester deployed to take care of them. That's a good play. We do have some floating, non-floating, sorry, AA down here for this guy. Cannot, of course, continue off with those Zuis. This guy dispatches some inties to deal with those. Moral Constraint has grabbed an extra couple of upgrades, and that is a hefty looking commander in itself. Sniper com with personal shield, lots of damage, lots of range, and lots of HP. Generally a nasty piece of work any way you swing it. Now we're seeing Harbingers out on the field as well for Moral Constraint. Wasn't enough to kill off those 2 Loyalists, however. And another band of Loyalists over here for Nexus, threatening the main base of Moral Constraint. I think he's going to have enough Harbingers to see away the attack, however. Loyalists capitulating one after another. Moral bringing in his ACU as well. That will be the end of that little bit of pressure there. And that mass body of T1 we saw just a moment ago from this guy peters out finally. And control is restored in this portion of the map once again for Team 1. Still, though, not any closer yet to pushing Team 2 back. This guy's upgraded his land tech to T3. He's got 4 Othams sitting back here. Substantially increases his firepower. And you can tell he's feeling emboldened moving forward. Throwing down a shield generator here. Might be looking to get a decent fire base online. Never a bad decision. Giving him a place to withdraw to if fire gets too much. And Nexus now producing ASFs as well. Get T3 air over here, not yet for Dro. We are at T3 air for Moral. Would you look at it now? Nexus 100 mass clear almost from Dro. 271 versus 175. Moral Constraint having some power issues there momentarily. Yeah, you can see he's power locked, so dropping periodically into the 50s from the low hundreds. But 118 he's sitting at the current time, and this guy's still on 86. Long way to go still to catch up, but he's making strides. Othams increasing in number, and now a fire base on the way. T2 radar going up first. Braver than I am. First thing for me after getting the shield down would probably be a PD. That's because I'm a massive fairy. Corsairs circling above over Dro's base. Team 1 just looking like they're waiting for Team 2 to make their move, and so they can counter. This guy has spotted a GC, and there it is. Only just begun, so it's a ways off completion. Nexus querying the progress. Don't worry guys, you've got time. It's a lot of loyalists on the field now for Dro. 21 in this area to be precise. And brought forward. Lots of T1 away from the shield. They get eviscerated. This guy brings out his commander to lay down some fire. No overcharges, curiously. Well, he's having power issues, that's why. Harbingers lurking down here and are actually withdrawing in the face of a roving band of bricks emerging from Nexus's portion of the map. Very clever how they walk on sand, isn't it? Units the size of buildings. Spiky little legs. Now, full engagement ensues. This guy going right up against a band of loyalists. He's got his Othams alongside his commander, but there's some more situated back here as well. In comes Moral with those Harbingers we saw earlier coming around the northeastern edge. And of course, when those loyalists go pop, the EMP temporarily disabling everything around here, including the commander, which is affecting this guy as he attempts to withdraw. ASFs overhead from Nexus doing their best to mop up any air pressure, but goodness me, what's happened to all his health? Nano upgrade or no, that was not enough. Harbingers get the job done. So much pressure on the ground from T1, and this guy, man, he's out of there. 22 minutes, almost 23, and Nexus finds himself all by his lonesome. And suddenly, this is a very scary situation to be in for the team that, according to the game quality, had a better than 2-to-1 chance of coming out with the victory. We'll see if Nexus can pull it off. If anyone can do it, sir, you can. And certainly, he's in position to continue to apply pressure here. These bricks forcing those Harbingers back towards their main base. I can't believe how quickly this guy's health disappeared with that nano upgrade and everything. But it was just those loyalists, man. Those loyalists going pop for Dro. I didn't see the Corsairs come in. I know there were a bunch of Corsairs up for Dro as well. He probably would have brought those in. They would have only got a couple of passes because of all the ASFs from Nexus, but that might have helped add a massive alpha strike to the occasion. Just wasn't expecting him to capitulate like that. That really did take me by surprise. Bricks so very deadly, but now we're starting to see Dro produce some as well. So let's take a look at where we're actually at eco-wise here, while these guys re-establish the game flow, the departure of this guy. So Nexus is on a whopping 409 mass. That looks to increase as he goes in, picks up the reclaim there, of course, from his fallen comrade's base, and of course grabs the mass points. All of the surrounding edges belonging here to Dro pretty much, with the odd outpost down here for moral constraint, but 439 for Nexus, 281 for Dro, not doing too shabbily, and moral constraint not that far behind. Well, actually, I say that he's got 100 mass behind, but he's on like 193. So all in all, you add them together, and it looks like the Team 1 still have a lead when you put them all together. But of course, it's a 2,000 rated player with access to an awful lot of resources, and we have a bug under construction. I like that play. It looks like he's got air control as far as we can see it for the time being. Why not throw experimental pressure at them from the air? The GC we saw under construction a while ago that this guy was warning Nexus about has finally completed. And that is being dispatched. In which direction for the time being? We'll simply to here for now. And cheeky little airdrop there for a couple of bricks from Dro into what was this guy's old base. They take a volley of strap bomber fire to the face, however, and now they are literally a cat's fart away from death there with 750 HP apiece. One more bomb is enough to do it. So they snagged a couple of engineer kills there, but probably wasn't worth it in the grand scheme of things. Lots of other build capacity in the area. Excuse me. Next is ASFs tangling with some very redundant looking interceptors there for Dro. At that stage now where everyone's trying to throw up T3P gens as quickly as possible and expand their air game. But of course, Team 2 never got involved really at all in any extent in the naval game. And we're sitting currently at T3 naval tech for moral constraint. Yes, it's only one at naval factory, but on a map like this, could that turn out to be significant, I wonder? Dro warming his teammate there that the bug is complete. And there it is, hovering over the top of Nexus's base. GC, however, continues to roll on forward. Team 1 now with a major judgment call about how far forward to press. Get it wrong and all you're doing is throwing mass at your opponent. We do have some anti-air capabilities down here. A whole load of ascendants. To be about 9. In fact, we're starting to see a T3 roll in as well as a Redeemer coming in. But they are way back here, and the Soul Ripper will be able to lay down some fire. And there is a proverbial brick wall on the beach, which Dro and Moral are advancing towards. Those bricks focusing their fire along with the Soul Ripper on that Colossus. Colossus opens up on the brick wall. Is still yet to pick off his first couple of bricks there. They start to go, but already the GC is down, and all that's left is a pile of loyalists which won't last very long at all against that Soul Ripper, which cannot be crippled by the EMP explosions. The Ascendants now are making contact, but the bricks can roll forward and take those out. That was an ill thought out attack there. They got a little bit boisterous. There really wasn't any opening at all for Team 1 there. It's hard though. You've just scalped one of the players on the opposing team. There's one left. He's dangerous. You don't want to give him too much time to build up. You know you've suddenly got an experimental and lots of T3 units. But a little bit of scouting should tell you all you need to know about the situation. Forward T3 land factory up front there for Dro. Now we've got a couple of cruisers heading towards the center. ASF's parked above one of them over here. Experimental gunship deployed to take them out. Just not enough of them really to threaten the gunship. But I tell you what might threaten it, these Redeemers over here. Scary looking things with tremendous anti-air capabilities. Away go those missiles to that body of ASFs as they roll past. Attack ping going out no doubt from Dro to warn him about the bug incursion that's coming in over the cliff face. Nexus locks on to those T3 mass extractors at the cliffs, but look at the HP on that bug plummet as the Redeemers come into play. Those T3 anti-air vehicles really are a splendid addition. Down goes the bug. Nexus surprised at the demise. Obviously, attention was elsewhere. Thought there wasn't a threat. Still an awful lot of bricks on the ground for Nexus, coming up against predominantly loyalist pressure, not enough to stall them. There is another GC under construction. It's not going very quickly, however. How far forward will Nexus press? And we have a nuke launcher under construction in the main base there for Dro. But there is already strategic missile defense online, and it has 2 anti-nuke missiles loaded already. So the main base, at the very least for Nexus, well covered against potential nuclear attack. Second bug going toe-to-toe with Dro's ASFs. And Dro actually looking like he's got the upper hand now in the air game, but he certainly doesn't on the ground. His forward base is being annihilated as those bricks wheel west and away from Moral Constraint's main base and instead take the potential safer engagement. Yowzers. And look at it now. So 390 and 201. Well, it's actually 350 and 201 versus 530. So almost nothing left in it now. A modest advantage for Team 1, but not a lot. This guy still lamenting his demise. Once again, those loyalist EMPs playing havoc with Team 2's units there. And lots of gunships going to work as well, of which they are operating with complete impunity. No ground-to-air capabilities there for Nexus. Needs to add some of those into the mix now, I think. Couple of cruisers for Moral, this time parked on the other end of the lagoon. Ooh, a Monkey Lord completes for Nexus. And 2 bugs held in reserve. One of them we saw earlier combating that horde of ASFs over here. It's lost about 40% of its health. Those bricks heading for the cover of the lagoon. So many gunships building now, lots and lots of renegades, the odd whaler in there, a few spectres as well. Oh, I do love it when people build these though. One of my favourite units in the game, you just don't see it enough. A Torrent rolling forward, that Aeon missile ship ready to unleash 7 shades of poo upon Nexus, should he be allowed to get into range, and that is the range we're talking about here. Everything in that base potentially at risk. Nexus is going to want to pacify that immediately. And another one out as well, so 2 of them, that's a lot of damage, and they're going to have good solid anti-aircraft firepower nearby as well from that aircraft carrier. And now that Monkey Lord we saw a moment ago is having to turn around in the face of gunship pressure from Moral. At some point, Nexus lost a very important air battle, I think, and only just now has recovered his reserves and are sending them in towards the gunships. who has the larger... It's not a lot in it, you know. I think he could risk going toe-to-toe. Needs to do something about these gunships. Bit by bit, these bricks are being reduced in number. And now those missiles coming to range, causing a whole nother set of problems for Nexus, who is going to try and counteract them with a Pearl Harbor style attack. Torpedo bombers inbound, going straight after that lead missile ship. A lot of the torpedo bombers down, and only a third of the HP gone. They've had to switch up to go after the aircraft carrier. That's where the biggest threat to them lies. It's an expensive way to deal with things, but he's got to do something. There's another missile ship inbound as well. Where are we on that nuke? So the nuke launcher is long done. It's about 60% done on the actual missile itself. And now the central power grid of Nexus's base under pressure. One more missile takes down that ion reactor, and two adjoining air factories. And then we've got three more power plants who are suddenly vulnerable. Down goes the aircraft carrier. So the torpedo bombers reacquire the turrets. But look at the damage that's being done by these missiles now. How much does Nexus have in reserve? He's got a lot of spare power, but he doesn't want to lose those air factories. They are instrumental at the moment to his well-being. So he sends in the Soul Rippers. Down goes one of them. Dro locking on with what air units he has, as is Moral. Where are we on that nuke? It's nearly done. Down goes the second torrent. They bypass the third. I'm not sure he's seen it. Needs to send those ASFs in to alleviate pressure on the bugs. The bugs really need to kill that off. Well, I suppose, okay, he's got more torpedo bombers in the area. He wants to send the bugs on an aggressive mission towards enemy territory and leave the torpedo bombers to mop up the threat down there. But look what those torrents have done. He's lost everything down here that was so vital, and now they're going after the ion reactor that's situated right next to the strategic missile defense, and he hasn't got the power to run the shields either. Away goes the nuke. Now if that gets shot down before the power plant goes down, it's all for nothing, but down goes the SMD. The nuke wasn't even going for Nexus, it was going to the old base. RIP nuke defense and Nexus. Nexus kills himself. Nexus capitulates. The nuke wasn't coming for you, sir. Oh no. I don't even know what happened to the Soul Ripper. I guess the Soul Rippers went down. I can't see them. No, they're still over there. He had a megalith on the way. He had... Oh, good. Oh, yeah, I don't know about that, man. I was going up here. They didn't think... It looked like... I mean, didn't that look like it was the most carefully orchestrated thing you've ever seen? The way that was timed. The torrent was coming in after the power plant that was attached to the nuke defense, the only one in the main base. The nuke gets launched, and about 5 seconds later, the nuke defense dies. The nuke is inbound. What are you going to assume? You're going to assume the worst, surely, but why not wait till the nuke hits? Because you don't want to give them the satisfaction. Yeah, but you just threw the game away unnecessarily. So, oh my goodness, it was a 42% game quality or whatever it was initially. And the 1500s beat the 2000 and the 1700s. So there you go, guys. Low order pros. It's almost, I want to say it's a victory for the Joes, but that wouldn't be very kind to Dro and this guy, who are over the, sorry, not this guy, Moral Constraint, who are over the threshold for prodom. And but hey, how about that? What a wonderful ending to that one. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you agree, guys. Keep those replays coming in. There's always more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, if you feel so inclined and haven't already, why not donate to me on Patreon? Every donation helps me and by extension the channel and the community, so thank you in advance. Until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.